Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the committee meeting, the Board of Education. For those of you joining us live, I think you see that we are in a location in our accustomed boardroom at the Twin. We are at the Convention Center down on and the reason we're here, it's logistics. Some of our board members and the DOE staff have been attending the ALE conference, Association of Leaders. So that's why we're here today. We're going to have our committee meetings this morning, our committee of the whole meeting at 1 p.m. Before we start with our rules committee agenda, I do want to take a moment to introduce to you our newest board member, Jennifer Fenton. To my left, seated over here next to Harris. Jennifer is here as representative of the 13th Congressional District. I'll give her an opportunity this afternoon at 1 o'clock to tell public and everybody here a little bit more about herself. But I do want to clear up any confusion. Leonte Bent, who I believe is joining us virtually this morning, is now representing the 7th Congressional District, the one that seat will open as a result of Mike Royal's relocation out of the Congressional District. And so Leonte is representing District 7. Jennifer's going to take Leonte's place to represent District 13. So Jennifer, welcome. Head with it. Excuse me. Leonte is now representing District 6, and Rich is District 7. Does anybody else want to go into the transfer portal and
transfer portal? I like that.
Yeah, we'll have to discuss that in executive session. Anyhow, Rich, welcome to District 7. But anyway, I will. It's now time for our Rules Committee meeting, and I'll call on our Rules Committee Chair, Mr. Frank Griffin.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. The Rules Committee has 3 items today. Item number 1, State Board Rule for the alternative vehicles for transport of students. Ms. Taylor.
State Board Rule 160-5-1-.37, the use of alternative vehicles for the transport of specified student groups, is being amended to incorporate the changes from Senate Bill 51 from the 2024 legislative session that removed the limitation on the use of alternative vehicles to and from school and school-related activities only for McKinney-Vento students and students with an IEP, and made the use of these vehicles available for all students. Changes to the current rule include the removal of the limitations to specify student groups and updating driver requirements and qualifications. At the June 2024 State Board meeting, the board approved the initiation of this rule to be posted for public review and comment, and the rule has been posted for at least 30 days.
As this is an adoption of a rule, it will have to be pulled for separate vote. Are there any items of discussion or matters to discuss?
Any comments on anything that was posted? What were the comments?
Yes, we received 2 comments. One comment was from a Mr. Dave Ward with the Tommy Novus Center, who indicated the center's full support of the rule and believes that the rule will provide equitable access for students with disabilities. The second comment was from Mr. David Colbert, Safety and Risk Coordinator with the Georgia School Boards Association, who had a comment about one section in the rule related to driver qualifications that stated essentially that after drivers have received their pre-screenings, the amended rule says that they will either be included in a random pool for selection for drug screening 4 times annually, or that the vehicle that they're driving must have GPS monitored indicators of sudden acceleration or deceleration or sudden stops. And the comment was that they changed that from an or to an and so those were the 2 comments we received.
Any other discussion?
Item number 2 is a request to initiate amendments to State Board Rule 160-4-2-.34 dual enrollment. This is a request to approve the amendments to this rule for initiation, which means that if approved, the rule amendments will be posted for at least 30 days for public review and comment. Senate Bill 440, also from the 2024 legislative session, amended the graduation requirements for students earning their high school diploma through the Accelerated Career Diploma Program. This State Board rule is being amended to incorporate the following changes. It adds the definition of a state-funded core course. It amends the required courses for students receiving a high school diploma through the Accelerated Career Diploma Program. And it restructures the rule to provide clarity on dual enrollment requirements for high school students for the traditional diploma versus an accelerated career diploma. Again, if approved by the State Board, this rule will be posted for at least 30 days for public review and comment.
Any comments from the board?
I've got a few comments, and just for clarity, and I know you mentioned the spirit of this, but can you go a little bit more in detail about the spirit of this bill? And also, there was a lot of redlining, which doesn't really, can you help us with that a little bit to understand a little bit more? It appeared to me, and tell me if I'm wrong, that we were looking at students that possibly would not be able to do our 3 major math courses to go into dual enrollment, but this would open up for a bundling of courses. Help me.
So the previous version of the Accelerated Career Diploma required students to have essentially 9 secondary courses at the high school before they were able to transition to those courses at the technical college or the University of Georgia's USG institution. It required them to take 2 high school math, 2 high school science, 2 high school English, 2 high school social studies. And that was indicated that they had to be done before they then transitioned to work towards their associate's degree or their 2 technical certificates or a technical diploma. The changes to the Accelerated Career Diploma now require that instead of saying that those core secondary courses have to be taken at the high school, it provides a definition for state-funded core courses. But it requires that the 3 federally required courses that have end-of-course exams, that those courses that are taken at the high school must be required. But then those second core courses, so the other secondary core course in social studies, science, English language arts and math, those can be state-funded courses, so they can be taken either at the high school or at a TCSG or a USG institution for dual enrollment credit. Then, once that student transitions into the portion where they are either receiving an associate's degree or a technical diploma or 2 technical certificates, the law was changed to say that now the associate's degree must be in applied sciences and it must be taken at a technical college system of Georgia institution. And then that the 2 technical college certificates must be based on a list of high demand careers that has been established by the State Workforce Development Board or aligned programs by TCSG.
Okay, that's helpful, very helpful. So if as a student, I mean, there were 30 hours that you could take with dual enrollment.
Yes.
Before, because we were maxing out and it was becoming really a financial thing. So if I am looking at taking this course, I can either do it as a core course in my high school or as a course at a technical college, right? One of those?
As long as it's not one of the courses with an EOC.
Right. The EOC courses still have to be passed before you can get a degree.
Yes.
But it's more for high job demand, right?
That's correct.
So well, maybe I could apply a lot more of my courses, those 30 hours towards that, either coming out with some kind of credentialing or coming out with some kind of diploma that is in that specific core demand area, right? Is that correct?
Once you're taking your EOC courses.
So I know Superintendent Woods, you mentioned this idea of 2 diplomas. So would this help transition that a little bit better if you had?
But I think, again, what I mentioned yesterday is really just trying to expand, our options here. And some of this may be working in conjunction with the dual enrollment. I think it's, this law has kind of definitely changed a lot of things as far as, some of the requirements and where you can take things. Right now, I think, trying to expand opportunities for kids in different areas. Again, if you're going to a university system, as I shared yesterday, I think there needs to be kind of a math, science, engineering path, which is definitely very heavy in certain field areas. Looking at the traditional diploma, again, do all kids need to take trig or, calculus, or giving them some opportunities? And honestly, we know kids that are very strong in those areas. We know that pretty early. That's not there. But I think that, trying to expand it to say, what about those students that have more of a liberal arts background? Do they need to take, again, of course, we have algebra as being the math. I'll just stick with that. But instead of a geometry or something like that, maybe statistics, which traditionally has been something, a math that we've taken. We're looking at personal finance, as options as we look at that. For our students, again, I think about, I may have a desire to probably start off at TSG, but even in my case, I went to a 4-year university and got 2 degrees.
Right.
So what does the university need as far as a minimum to get kids in, even though they may be along that track? Because I don't want to cut out university pathway for those kids.
Right.
Again, still trying to keep that as an option. One of the things, trying to help and support this is trying to move all of our high stakes testing, have that done by sophomore year. Again, that opens up, because I think one of the things we look at here that is an EOC course is American history. Typically, that's a junior year course. So, you're looking at what does that look like and how does that impede? So I think we have to, take that into consideration. But for kids that want to go to TSG, we have to look at some things, because we do now have something called CTA Plus. So it allows us to join and integrate some of the math credit, science credit, at least the 4 of that 4th year into one of our pathways. So you can get dual credit, which I think is very good. But also allowing our kids to say, hey, I may not be able to travel, but as we work with TSG, get, that equal accreditation, so they're actually getting college credit at schools. I think it's, again, very diverse, but also there's a group that said, hey, I'm just going to the workforce. And in business and industry, there are some that say, hey, you give us your kids, we'll train them. And I think that having an opportunity would be kind of dual purpose, that it allows kids to go straight into that workforce, to get internships, to get work-based learning credit, perhaps at an industry they want to go to. But also, I think it expands opportunities for our special needs kids, that for some, this is an opportunity they can get life skills, they can get into the workforce. And, in a few cases, I think Toombs County, Toombs or Lawrence, I think Toombs, where they had kids that were working at a Hampton Inn, and they were getting life skill training and, in fact, getting jobs. And I know that the Hampton Inn actually hired a couple of people. So again, giving our kids options that benefit them in their pathway to life, and also looking at, our match program of providing kids those opportunities. Say, hey, where can you go? One of the things we're trying to do is expand, that to where a kid actually is mapping out, their pathway. They can start at 8, and I think if we can allow them to track, hey, I have an idea that I want to go to X university. Well, if you have thoughts on that, then you need to know that may require a certain path. And especially if you have an idea of what's the program of study you want to go into. So I think we're definitely looking at this. This has an impact on us, but my goal and beginning next month, we're going to be looking at some things. So what are some good opportunities for kids from USG to TSG to straight into the workforce?
So in the collaboration with this, obviously, since it's dual enrollment, we had to have TSG, Technical College System, sign off with us, right? And University System sign off.
Yeah, well, more for, I think, TSG in this case.
Yes, or technical college.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
really, the law is really more geared towards the tech, because, again, when you look at the requirement, where we have, mandated 4
Yes.
credits in math, science, and things of this, and now this is dropping, you can correct me, it's down to 2 in our major academics, is that correct?
Me for the accelerated career
Yeah,
diploma?
for the accelerated,
Yes.
yeah, so, again, just trying to balance out, if you do want to go to a 4-year university, we are trying to make sure that kids understand, I mean, when you start making decisions, that it could have long-term decisions, or you may have to take additional courses of what that takes to get into, a higher ed program, on the USG side.
This is so helpful, because we just voted not too long ago on 4 additional courses. I think Matt announced it at a meeting that we were adding 4, another math, another science, another English.
On the CTA
On the
plus,
CTA,
yeah,
right.
yeah, and
So
it's
this
integrated.
also fills in with that, right?
It would be in line, yes, yeah, I mean, kids could, typically, if they create or were able to finish a pathway, say their sophomore year, they could also perhaps get an integrated credit, based on that as well.
And thank you for being mindful of the traditional area too, that those kids cannot take those courses and go into a flagship college or whatever. We still have, is that true? We still have those frameworks there too, that they're required those certain.
Our traditional diploma meets,
Yes,
I mean,
same thing.
really, if you're looking at things, the traditional diploma, it really is in many ways guaranteed or leans towards the USG opportunity, even though the TSG opportunity is still within that, but it's definitely for, offering, stronger paths to any university you want to go to in the state of Georgia.
Right. Thank you for that clarification.
Any other discussion? As this is a rule initiation, it can be placed on the consent agenda. Is that okay with everyone? All right, item number 3.
Item number 3 is a request to approve a school for the special needs scholarship program private school list. The official code of Georgia annotated section 20-2-2115 requires that the State Board of Education authorize private schools that will be eligible to participate in the Georgia Special Needs Scholarship Program. Private schools that are interested in participating in the program had until June 30th of 2024 to apply for the 2024-25 school year and must meet eligibility requirements outlined in rule and law. Having met these requirements, Huntington Learning Center, a K-12 private school in Peachtree City, which is near Fayette County, is seeking to participate in the program for the 2024-25 school year.
Any discussion?
So how many are we up to now?
We're at 305.
305.
Any other discussion? With no objection, this will be placed on the consent agenda. Mr. Chairman, that concludes the business of the Rules Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. We will go into recess now and come back at 11 o'clock for our next committee meeting. All right?
So we have to go to the bathroom.
We can't start until.
Oh.
Ellis, you're gonna handle this today. Right?
Yes, sir.
I know you're ready.
You doing this one?
I'm doing this.
Okay. Call us back into session, and it's now time for our Budget Committee meeting. And I'm going to ask our Budget Committee Vice Chair, Mr. Nick Ellis, to lead us through the agenda items. Mr. Ellis?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we have 9 items for the Budget Committee. Mr. Russ will present for us.
All right, we'll start with item 1, which is our FY25 heavy equipment grant. The purpose of this grant is to provide assistance for program improvement for CTA instruction and student support in our LEAs. The total grant amount is not to exceed $3 million.
Any questions or concerns? Yes, sir.
I'm curious how many applications we received.
How many did we receive?
Yes.
Honestly, I don't know, but we granted 14.
Okay. I'd like to know how many we received.
I can let you know that when we approve that.
All right, thank you.
All right, we want to move this to the consent agenda, or we'll move to the consent agenda?
All right, item 2 is our FY25 21st CCLC continuation sub-grant awards. The purpose of this grant is to create out-of-school hours programs that provide academic enrichment opportunities for children, particularly those students who attend high poverty and low performing schools, to meet state and local academic standards in core academic subjects. The total grant amount is not to exceed $13,349,772.
Any questions or concerns?
How do we follow up on all this? Because it's all over the board with what they do with after-school programs. We just give that allotment and.
It's part of the overall monitoring process. So every grant we have, we have specific criteria which we follow to make sure that we're monitoring it, and we monitor throughout the year as well.
Okay.
Dr. Owen, since we have new board members joining us today, could you just give us a really brief explanation of what the 21st Century Community Center Learning Centers grant is, just very brief?
Thank you. So our 21st Century Grant Program is a competitive grant that we run every single year. It's for a 5-year cohort, so you'll see a difference in the amounts of that. We can grant up to $350,000, and it's primarily used for after-school programs and summer school programs. And with many of our grants, poverty plays a role in what we're trying to do to sort of provide additional support and assistance. And this is a unique grant in the fact that this is one of the only ones that we have that an LEA can apply for the grant, but so can a community-based organization. So we have a number of boys and girls clubs, YMCA, religious organizations that may run programs as well, and they coordinate with the districts to do so.
Thank you. Perfect. And I think if you look in the budget detail, you can see which fiscal year these different 21st Century centers are in. So, thank you.
All right, we'll move that to the consent agenda.
Item 3, just like item 2, but this one is for new. This is our FY25 21st CCLC new sub-grant awards. The grant is to create out-of-school hours programs that provide academic enrichment opportunities for children, particularly students who attend high poverty and low performing schools, to meet state and local academic standards in core academic subjects. The total grant amount is not to exceed $25,999,042.
Any questions or concerns? All right, we'll move it to the consent agenda.
All right, item 4 is a FY25 Education for Homeless Children and Youth grant, our McKinney-Vento. The purpose of this grant is to assist with the instructional supports and pupil services for Georgia's homeless children and youth in accordance with the requirements of the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act and policy guidance from the U.S. Department of Education. The total grant amount is not to exceed $3,005,765.
Questions or concerns?
And these are renewable grants, right? Every 3 years?
Yeah, this is a competitive grant.
Oh.
So they get the grant for 3 years, and then they'll apply again. They have it right here.
And your shop still follows up with,
Every grant,
Right.
we follow up with and monitor, absolutely.
okay.
All right, we'll move to the consent agenda.
All right, item 5 is our FY25 federal formula allocations, ESSA and IDEA. The purpose of this grant is to award the annual formula-based allocations for our federal programs. The total grant amount is not to exceed $1,130,969,980.
Questions or concerns? We'll move to the consent agenda.
All right, item 6 is a contract renewal with U.S. Foods. The purpose of this contract renewal is to purchase food to provide meals and snacks for students attending the Georgia Academy for the Blind, Georgia School for the Deaf, and the Atlanta Area School for the Deaf. The total contract amount is not to exceed $350,000.
Questions or concerns? We'll move to the consent agenda.
All right, item 7 is our FY25 Feminine Hygiene Grant. This is a state budget line item. The purpose of this grant is to provide feminine hygiene products to low-income students. Funds are allocated to LEAs from a formula based on direct certification and the number of students impacted. The total grant award is not to exceed $1,500,000.
Questions or concerns? We'll move to the consent agenda.
All right, item 8 is our FY25 RESA Mental Health Awareness Training Grant. The purpose of this grant is to supplement the existing mental health awareness training menu by providing funding to be used for mental health awareness needs specific to each RESA. The total grant is not to exceed $800,000.
Questions or concerns?
Steve, is Justin here to, maybe, because I bet our group doesn't even know about some of this mental health services that are done through the whole child. Is it maybe just a brief something? Is Justin?
This is Mary Lauren Salvatore. I'm online for Justin today.
Can you briefly tell our board, because we've got so many people here, a little bit about them?
Sure. So the Mental Health Awareness Training Program has been a state line item for the last several fiscal years. And some of that funding comes to our office, and we contract with lots of different providers that provide training, both in person and virtually all across the state at the request of district schools and RESAs. Also, a chunk of that funding annually goes directly to the RESAs. So they're each awarded $50,000 annually to use those funds to conduct activities, so get other types of trainings that aren't available on our mental health awareness training menu that meet their local RESA needs. And so they request the budgets for those expenditures through our office and approve them on an annual basis. So they might be trainings that happen during pre-planning or throughout the school year. They might do stuff that is geared towards supporting educators on specific types of mental health needs and things like that. So it's a really great program that we've been able to do in coordination with the RESAs for the last few years.
And that collaboration with our RESAs is key too. Thank you for that.
All right, questions or concerns? We'll move to the consent agenda.
All right, well, item 9 is our 50 to 250, which we have one item for $75,000 with Royal Foods for our state schools. Any questions?
No questions or concerns? We'll move to the consent agenda.
That's it.
Mr. Chairman, that'll conclude the budget committee.
All right, so it appears that all of the budget items are going to be moved to the consent agenda.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Donaldson, I think we've broken your record for the fastest budget meeting. But that record stuck around for a while, so. All right.
You said the tone.
Yes.
I will now entertain a motion for us to go into executive session.
So moved.
We have a motion by Sweeney and a second by Downey to go into executive session
We just state the purpose.
for the purposes of discussing personnel, student discipline, and either potential or existing litigation. Any objections? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we will go into executive session, and we will, for those of you that are joining us virtually and also those who are in the room, we will reconvene at 1 p.m. for the committee of the whole meeting. All right, we're adjourned. In recess, excuse
Where are we
me.
gonna go? I'm telling you, couldn't go.
All right, board members, I know you're finishing up your lunch, but,
We'll figure it out when we go back to your office.
okay.
I don't know when. I was, I'm at, what do they have left in the meal stuff? Nothing?
No.
I don't know, I'm trying to see if I'm feeling what the people do.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to entertain a motion now to exit executive session.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Donaldson, second by who? Downing, thank you. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right. It is now time for us to begin our Committee of the Whole meeting. So I want to begin first by welcoming everyone who's here. My name is Stan DeJarnett, and it's my honor to serve as chair of the State Board of Education. And welcome you to this off-site version of our monthly education meeting. For those of you that are joining us remotely, we are meeting at the Convention Center down on Jekyll Island right at the very end of the Summer Georgia Association of Educational Leaders Conference here on Jekyll Island. They've just finished a very active agenda for the last 2.5 days. And today, many of our state's public school administrators are involved in some professional learning. But in light of the fact that many of us attend this conference every year and many of the department staff do as well, we thought we could have the meeting here this year. So at this time, I'm going to ask our Vice Chair, Ms. Fenna Petty, if she will provide our inspiration and then lead us in the pledge to the flag. Ms. Petty?
So, as far as inspiration, I think we've had a wonderful conference down here. Thank you to Gail for allowing us to intrude a little bit on what's going on down here. I think we learned some valuable things this week, and had a good time, had a good fellowship with each other. As it is summer now and we are getting ready, there are schools getting ready to start in 2 weeks. So we need to be sure we keep our students, the parents, and all the employees that work in our school systems in our prayers and thoughts as we move forward, getting them back into school. Because they still think it's summer. So it's, those first few weeks of getting back to school is pretty hard. So if you will join me now, I will say a small prayer, and then I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Our dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this wonderful day that you've given us, for the health and the beauty here on Jekyll Island. Thank you for always guiding us, leading us, directing us, even when we don't choose to listen to what you lead and guide us, direct us to. Thank you for always being there, showing comfort to us. Help us, God, as the State Board of Education, to make the best decisions for the students, the administrators, and the teachers, and all the employees who work in the schools in the state of Georgia. Help our legislators. Please stand by them as they make decisions
this coming year as they start their committee meetings next month. Please allow everyone to get home safely today, tomorrow as we travel back. Thank you for always being beside us, guiding us, holding our hand, pushing us, leading us, whatever we need along the way. In your name I pray, amen.
Amen.
Please stand for the pledge.
You may have to.
There you go, thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For those of you that are joining us virtually, that was the chair falling over. Please don't be concerned. We're safe.
No one was in the chair.
And no one was in the chair, thank you. We have some guests with us today. If you're, the list that I have here might not be totally complete, but if I've missed someone, please raise your hand. I know that Rodney Kay, representing the Gale organization, is with us. Also, Jody Barrow from the Georgia School Superintendents Association, Claire Buck from the Georgia Association of Curriculum and Instructional Supervisors, and Margaret Ciccarelli from Page. We also had, earlier today with us, we had Jason Miller from Southwest Georgia RESA, the director of Southwest Georgia RESA. We also have Lauren Hulse and Nick Giuliano from Hop Skip Drive. Glad to have you with us. And also Nick Gast and Jason Wester from Jackson County Schools. Glad to have you with us as well. Have I missed anyone on the guest list? I know we have several staff from the department, and so we're always glad to have them with us as well. We had a sign-up sheet if anybody wanted to make public comment on some of the agenda items, but we have no signees on the public hearing sheet, so we will we'll consider the public hearing closed and move on. We're going to begin by building our agenda, and to start out with, I'm going to call on our Vice Chair of the Budget Committee, Mr. Nick Ellis. Mr. Ellis, can you tell us which agenda items that you would like to add to the consent agenda?
Mr. Chair, all of the budget items that are presented, 1 through 9, we will add those to the consent agenda.
All right. Adding items 1 through 9 to the consent agenda.
Thank you,
Now we
Nick.
turn to the Rules Committee. Mr. Griffin.
Mr. Chairman, we have 3 items. The first item, number 1, will be pulled for a separate vote. Item number 2 and 3 will be submitted to the consent agenda.
All right. Item 1, the rule will be pulled for a separate vote. And then items 2 and 3 are to be, I just want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly, will be added to the consent agenda.
That is correct, yes,
All
sir.
right, thank you. Executive session items, Mr. Donaldson.
Mr. Chairman, I make a recommendation to move the following to the consent agenda: the individual student waivers, the minutes of the June 12, 2024 executive session, the minutes of the June 2024 state board meeting, the July 2024 personnel report, and the July 2024 legal report, with the exception of 3 legal appeals that are being pulled for a separate vote. Those cases are 2024-42, 2024-52, and 2024-53.
All right, thank you very much. We do not have a need for any items for charter and district flexibility or state schools. I'm going to ask that we recess just briefly so that we can make sure that our agenda items are in good order. then we'll come back in really just 5 minutes or so, and then we'll hear from the superintendent. He has a brief report. I have a brief report as well, and then we'll start with our action items. Okay, so let's recess for 5 minutes. Thank you. Sure that board members that are joining us virtually, check your email. You should have received an email from Ms. Taylor just about 3 minutes ago that has the updated agenda with the consent agenda items and then the separate action items. So if you're here with us in person, make sure that you find that email, and then it is, the agenda can be found there as an attachment. So I'll wait just 1 second, make sure that everybody that's joining us remotely has the opportunity to look at it. And while we're doing that,
So this July meeting in the whole has been updated.
and while they're doing that, Superintendent Woods, I believe you have an introduction that you'd like to make.
All right, well, again, as we begin kind of the new calendar year for us, that means, of course, we have a new person representing the teacher profession this year. And so I am very delighted to introduce Ms. Holly Witcher. to you. She was just recently named Teacher of the Year. I've heard her speak at the Federal Programs Conference, so she got to start off with several thousand people looking her in the face, right off the bat. So, but it did a fabulous job. I hope that is a talk that she can share with us later. I was very inspired with that. Very excited to have an individual from the special needs population. I had the chance to go up and see her, in her classroom, pop in unannounced, and was always a delight with all the teachers. But Holly, I want to just kind of turn it over to you and just kind of let you share a little bit about who you are and anything you'd like to share with us today.
Fantastic. Well, thank y'all so much for letting me join you here. I think this is a fantastic opportunity to have a teacher sitting on the state board, and it's such an honor, and so humbled just to be sitting here with so many people who represent so many different walks of life, who have such experience, and to be able to sit alongside of that. And like Superintendent Woods said, my message this year is really, truly, you matter. And I love being able to take that out as I look at all of the teachers who are so burnt out and frustrated, and being able to speak that life back into them. That's truly what my desire is to hear all the good things that are happening around the state, and then be able to share that what you're doing matters. And not only teachers, but what you're doing here as board members, it matters. And I'm here and I represent someone who, I just left the classroom, and I've got faces that I'm thinking of as we're going through all of these different policies and procedures. And that's what I want to bring is, how is this impacting the classroom all the way down to the student level, and the work that you do here. I'm sure that it gets quite interesting. As board members, oftentimes you're not, people see you and they have complaints necessarily to give or whatever the case may be. But I want to say that all that you're doing it's important, and I appreciate it, and I know that teachers across the state appreciate it. And so very honored to be here today, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you all. You've all been very welcoming so far, so I'm excited to see what this year holds. So thank y'all so very much for letting me sit in with you.
And Holly's in White County.
White County,
Okay,
yes.
so we're known for something more than Cabbage Patch Kids.
That's right.
White County has something else they can definitely have a brag on. But I would say this again, just talking with Holly, I think that one of the things you'll find out, especially as I've gotten to know her, a young woman of faith. I think you'll see that stands out quite a bit in my engaging with her. So, she hits, a lot of things that we all can relate to on the board, but definitely the passion for kids, very clear the day that I stepped in, and especially dealing with young people that had, a lot of severe challenges, to be honest, in starting off and just be able to see where they, again, as I heard stories, where they started and where they were, ending up was quite encouraging. So I look forward personally to seeing where Holly, takes. She's, like I said, she's about to hit the road, really hard. And of course, as I was thinking, I said, there are no easy roads to White County in Cleveland, Georgia. So it's almost like if you want to hit the furthest road from, Holly kind of has checked that box as well. Yeah.
But she's very close to our board retreat.
Yes.
I'm 30 minutes from your board retreat. 30 minutes.
Holly, is so glad to have you with us. You fill a chair that we've had some really great representation in the past since, and I know you're going to learn a lot. We're going to learn a lot from you. I've always believed, and I think our previous teachers of the year have done a great job of representing the voice of teachers in our deliberations and in our discussions. I always think that we're going to behave a little better with teachers in the room. So, so I'm excited about that. But the bar's been set very high by your predecessors. They've provided us with some wonderful insight, and they've been great messengers for public education and public school teachers. And I know you'll do just that, and so we're very excited to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
Superintendent, is there anything else for you?
That is it. I am done. Holly set me up well. She did a great job, so we're good.
Well, I'm going to begin my fairly brief report. I do have a couple of information items that I do want to share with the board, but I am very excited to introduce to you our newest state board member. And I'm actually going to let Jennifer introduce herself. This is Jennifer Fennell, who is going to represent the Congressional District 13. So Jennifer, just tell us a little bit about your background and who you are.
Thank you so much, Superintendent Woods, Chairman Jarnett. I am absolutely honored to have been appointed by Governor Kemp to represent the 13th District. A product of DeKalb County Schools. In 6th grade at Albany Elementary, I was elected to the Student Council, and that really began my love of public service and politics. And then in high school, I went to Clarkson High School and had an amazing 8th government teacher and got to go to close up. And I really fell in love with the ability to serve and the way that things and policy and procedures worked out in things. But God set me on a very interesting path where I was able to hone my professional life in construction and building materials, and then I now work at Jackson Electric Membership Corporation, where I am a very proud employee. I absolutely love working for the EMCs, and Jackson EMC is the perfect home for me. I'm the Gwinnett District Manager, which means that I've got to use all of the skills that I've put together through my education and life to work in internal affairs and external affairs. I work in government relations, I work with our linemen, our engineers, customer service, and then all of our community leaders. I like to tell people that my job every day is to connect people to solve big problems, because we don't do anything by ourselves. And this board, you've been so welcoming, so thank you so much. And I think that idea resonates through the fact that we don't do anything alone. We do it together, and I'm honored and proud to be here. Thank you so much, and I look forward to the next multiple years of service.
Jennifer, we're very glad to have you on the board and look forward to your contributions. And welcome. And it is. These are some of the finest people you'll ever meet. So I really enjoy working with them, and they're all very committed to the work we're doing. Thank you. I want to bring you a very short report. The Literacy Council has been busy this summer. They held a meeting. It wasn't an official meeting of the Literacy Council, but there were a lot of Literacy Council members and also other affiliate members connected to the work we're doing. Met back in June on the 24th in Savannah. And it was and along the same time that the Georgia Municipal Association was having their annual meeting in Savannah. And so I think most of the focus at that meeting was on making the community connection with literacy. And I think, as we all know, that's one of the working groups on the Literacy Council is community, because we want to engage the entire communities in building literacy and improving literacy rates around Georgia. So there was a lot of activity back in June. I'm a member of the executive committee for the Literacy Council, and we are now beginning a bi-weekly executive committee call to kind of keep everything on track. And we had our first call last Friday. And so we're going to be, I'll continue to send you information, and I know the council is going to publicize a lot of the meetings. We have some other meetings coming up. The next big meeting of the Literacy Council is on August the 26th at Georgia College and State University in Milledgeville. And to kind of get ready for that, and as it directly pertains to the work that we're doing here, as you know, a bill was passed last legislative session that requires that we select 5 screeners for use in our schools, and beginning with the fall of 2025. So Dr. Morgan of the Deal Center on Literacy is coordinating and leading a group to develop a new rubric and a new framework for selecting those 5 screeners. And as the legislation calls for, one of those screeners has to be available free to districts around the state. Part of that work was, of the proposal, was to have a literacy screener advisory group. And many of you nominated people from your congressional district to serve on that advisory group, and that group has now been, I don't have the names for you right now, but I can provide the list. There's 16 members of the LSAG that will be guiding and assisting the Deal Center in their deliberations as they go through the process. And from a timeline standpoint, they want to have a list, a recommended list to us for our approval by the December board meeting, this December of this calendar year. And because I know, and I think all of you know this, districts are starting their budget planning in December. They're also developing their calendar for professional development. And even though the legislation doesn't require that we have this list until the following May, we know that it's in the best interest of the working local districts to have this ready as soon as possible. So that advisory group is going to be working on the selection process for those screeners. And I thank you all for those of you that made recommendations and suggestions. So I think it's a 16-member group. And obviously, it's not just district employees or literacy specialists from district. There's also from groups like Decoding Dyslexia, Georgia. They're going to be represented on this advisory group as well. The last thing I want to tell you is I want to invite you, and I will send you a registration link after this meeting is over. I've been asked by the governor's office to make sure that you're aware of the Governor's Workforce Summit, September 12th and 13th. The September 12th is what they call a Practitioner's Day, but the summit itself will take place on September the 13th in Atlanta. I'll send all of you, board members, a registration link via email, so I'll forward it to you as soon as this meeting is over. And if you, but I hope you'll put, particularly the 13th, I hope you'll put that on your calendar. All right, now it's time for us to start with our agenda. I will entertain, I think, does everybody have their agenda in front of them?
Yes.
Board members who are joining us online, if you have not been able to access that agenda, if you'll just text me or text Tiffany Taylor. This went out just a few minutes ago in an email to all the board members. So I hope by now you've been able to access the agenda.
I've got it.
All right, thank you very much. All right, great. All right, I will now entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Donaldson, second by Ellis. All in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. All right, the agenda is approved. I'll now entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Donaldson, second by Griffin. Any questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. All right, the consent agenda is approved and passed. Now we have one Rules Committee item that has to be pulled for a separate vote. It is State Board Rule 160-5-3-.17, use of alternative vehicles for the transport of specified student groups. And this is for adoption. I will entertain a motion to approve this rule. Motion by Sweeney and a second by Downey. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, the rule is approved. I will now move on to the executive session items.
we have 3 legal appeals to the state board that have either been reversed, or that are reversing or remanding a decision of the local board. The first is State Board Decision Case number 2024-42.
Mr. Chairman, it is recommended that the State Board of Education reverse the decision of the local board in case number 2024-42.
Any questions? Let's see first. Now, the vote to reverse the decision, if you're in favor of the reversal, just to be clear, you want to vote yes. If you oppose the reversal, you want to vote no. I'll call for this a consensus vote, and if it's difficult to determine how the vote's going, we may do it individually. All in favor of reversing?
Point of order. It
Yes.
has been motioned second.
So moved. I'm sorry. Got a motion to
Second.
reverse the decision from Griffin,
Second.
second from Ellis. Thank you, Mr. Donaldson. All in favor of reversing decision 2024-42, say aye.
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 All right, any opposed? The motion to reverse carries. Would you please move on to the next one, Mr. Donaldson?
Mr. Chairman, it is recommended that the State Board of Education reverse the decision of the local board in case number 2024-52.
So moved. Got a motion by Griffin,
Second.
second by Ellis. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor of the reversal, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no.
No.
No. All right, the motion to reverse does carry. Did we capture everybody's vote from the virtual attendees? I believe we did. All right, moving on. Next case.
Mr. Chairman, it is recommended the State Board of Education reverse the decision of the local board in case number 2024-53.
Hear a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Ellis, second by Sweeney. All in favor of reversing case number 2024-53, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
No. The motion to reverse carries. Are there any other business items before the board? Well, if that being the case, then I want to thank everyone that's here today for being here. I want to thank those of you that were joining us virtually for your attendance. Our next, yes, sir.
I did want to give a shout out to my parents, Jim and Joyce Downing. Today is their 53rd wedding anniversary. Good to see you last weekend, being out for 4th of July, so I just want to give them a shout out there at TV Land. And, I'm an only child, so it's dependent upon me to give them a shout out.
Well done. I know they're proud of you. Any other items for the good of the order?
Stan, I'd just like to say, I think it's been a great meeting, and also you mentioned that literacy group that would be looking at the screeners. A great job. We've had a chance, some of us, to view the people that are on there, and excited about that, looking forward to that, and with our state, what we're doing with literacy. The first time, and I've said this many times, and I think when Richard came and spoke in LaGrange, I made this comment. It's the first time in the state since we got rid of textbooks that everybody in the state is going to be on board with the same thing that we're working on, and that's that structured literacy to help make sure that our kids can read. And that's just, to me, I'm very excited, and thanks to the DOE and to everybody else that's collaborating with us. The Literacy Council, GOSA, the colleges, universities, I mean, the whole group. I'm just so excited and looking forward to seeing what this year rolls out, because we're getting ready to roll out some things and working together. And thank you all.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, Helen, and thank you for saying that. And I know the work that all of us are pulling together, I think we're gonna see our literacy rates go up. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Also going to mention, and you hit on it earlier, but just a special thank you to the Georgia Association of Educational Leaders for having us here.
Yeah.
They've been exceptionally welcoming to the State Board of Education, and it's really neat to see the individual interaction that board members do have with education leaders throughout the entirety of the state. I know that the information that you gather brings has a deep impact on the decisions that we make. Absolutely.
Thank you, Scott. Anyway, it was a great conference. Any other comments for the good of the order?
Hello, this is Lisa Kenilworth. Can you hear me?
We sure can, Lisa. Thank you for joining us.
I just want to say thank you to GASRA for their conference that they had last month. It was very enlightening, and I enjoyed being there with Mr. Ellis, so it was very good. And also the Deal Center, I'm here at their meeting, their conference right now as well, so I want to thank them for what they're doing to help us with literacy and education as well.
Well, please extend our thanks on, if you'll, on our behalf. I would appreciate that, because you're absolutely right. They're doing great work over there.
Steve, can I say one more thing too? Because I think Sean is still here. That conference that they did with special ed, that whole conference, in my district, I had several phone calls, and one of my teachers that is over our special ed department took 9 of her teachers there and said that conference that Sean put together was the most informative. And I think we need to shout out to those groups that when they do great things, and they came back with a world of knowledge. Is everything perfect? No, but the majority of everything is perfect, and they just thought it was a great conference that she put on. Richard, I know you were there, you spoke, I heard you, but kudos to Leo for that too, because that's one area that you know about special ed, and the answers, there's a lot to deal with when you're dealing with federal and state funds and that, and everybody said it was just such a great conference, and I wanted to shout it out to Sean what they did.
Thank you, Helen. Well deserved.
And I'd like to piggyback on that with Helen. I'd like to thank Sean as well. It was very interesting, very good when I went. And I want to thank her for including our state schools and getting them the resources and everything that they need to be able to take care of our children and all the schools there.
That whole program was what it was.
Well, I want to close by thanking our technology staff for getting, I don't know that I've ever been as nervous about a board meeting since I joined the board, but just being, but this has gone very well today, and thank you for everything that you and all your people, Keith and everybody's done so that we're able to do this remotely from a remote site. Appreciate very much all the work y'all did in pulling this off. And but if there's no other comments, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Got a motion here for Sweeney and a second for Mr. Griffin. All in favor? Aye. All right, the motion carries. Thank you very much, folks. See you in August.